Georgia, I have been paying Ida's rent for 10 years. Not to mention the coroner. And she drives a fine vehicle as well, to say the least. And that I don't mind so much, but I even have to have the dog groomed as well. But please understand, there was nothing sexual about it. I just have a good heart. But anyway, before I get myself in any further trouble, let me do what I was requested. Ladies and gentlemen, I am extremely, extremely grateful for the number of you who came out today, and I'm sure our president has indicated his welcome to you, but let me also say that we are extremely, extremely grateful for you all to spend the time, not to mention the time, but the money as well. And we will be collecting an additional $10 at the door for the music that you all did. You all liked it so well. But anyway, moving along. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure to bring to you our guest speaker today. And he is a former police commissioner from St. Louis Board of Police Commissioners. That's how most of us, the policemen, know. But before he came to the police department, he had a stellar career in investment. And I'm reading somewhere in his bios, and you read along with it if you like. It's in our program, where he was responsible for managing $10 billion. But now it's only fair that I share with you and that he was an understudy of Mr. Madoff. But we are certainly grateful to have him today, and quite fortunate because, like I said, he comes to us with a wealth of knowledge and experience in the investment world. But also, more importantly, he has applied his vast experience and generosity to social and public programs in the city, especially in the city of St. Louis. He was born in Kansas City, Missouri, and a tribute to him, he had the good sense to leave and come to St. Louis. And we're grateful for that. But just a brief listing of some of the things that he's done in the public sector. He was treasurer of the Board of Police Commissioners, as I indicated, the city of St. Louis. He was treasurer of the St. Louis Zoo Friends Association, president of Inroads. I'm sure most of you probably with children know about Inroads, which was a wonderful program. He was chairman of the board of the Urban League of the Metropolitan St. Louis, and a trustee on the executive committee of Bond College. So he has had a wide array of experiences, and we were just fortunate today to have him share some of those experiences with you. Colonel Young, we're happy to have you.
You know, I've heard a lot about Donnell Whitfield, as sure as most of you all have too, but I didn't realize he was a comedian. It is my great pleasure to be with you today. So many faces I haven't seen for a long while, and when I was preparing for coming over here today, I thought about a lot of folks that I hadn't seen in a while. And I thought about the message that I wanted to bring to you all, which is a message about legacy. All of you all represent legacy. I stand here before you today because of a legacy. One of my best friends on the face of the earth is Jim Buford from President Urban. And Jim was called out of town and he asked me, he said, Bill, will you step in for me? I said, of course I will. Especially after he told me what the group was. I figured I wasn't going to get too many tomatoes or pies. But Jim is a legacy. You know, his dad, James Buford, was on the police department. I heard about stories about Jim Buford Sr., heard stories about Fred Grimes. I heard stories about a whole bunch of people before I even knew that I would have the privilege to serve on the board of police commissioners. And one of the bright faces of the legacy in my experience with the police department was the gentleman who this luncheon is named after, William Bill Shooter Pill Bradley. Just a little trivia. I've had a wonderful 45-minute conversation with his wife, Amanda, and she gave me a lot of good trivia that I didn't know about, and you may or may not know about it. But a lot of people don't know where Shooter Pill came from. And that was because he was a young star. He was a champion marble shooter. He was a star athlete at Deshaun High School. He played professional baseball in the Negro Leagues. And probably the most important thing, he always had a smile on his face. He was a jokester, and he was a people person. And I remember to this day, the first time I met him, and he did have a smile on his face. So we're very thankful about that. I found out that he loved two things more than anything on the face of the earth. The first thing was his family and his children, and the second was the department. And I can tell you that in my experience of being with Bill from 85 to 90 on the police department, he was the epitome of a great police officer. In his retirement, I've been told that he held court at the White Castle. He was the captain of the White Castle gang. And that the White Castle gang spent a lot of times jokes and telling tales about old times and reminiscing about all the great things that they've done. Bill Shooter Bill Bradley was a legacy for all of us. When I first had the opportunity to learn how to do any public speaking, I was told 3 rules that you always had to abide by. The first was you had to be on time. I wanted to note that I was here at 11:59. The second thing is that you need to be prepared. And I want to let you know that I'm using modern technology, my brand new iPad 2 with all my notes on it. And the last, which I promise you, be brief. I know we've had a wonderful meal. We've had some great times to see each other, and we haven't seen each other in a long while. So we need to enjoy that. Just want to take a few moments to kind of reminisce about something the police department meant to me and some of the things that I was able to do that hopefully have been a legacy to many of you all, but are a legacy to many of the young officers that are serving today. As I mentioned, Jim Buford is a really very, very close friend of mine, and my ascendancy to the Board of Police Commissioners happened on the 13th hole at Forest Park Golf Course. walking up the fairway, and Jim had gotten a call from the governor's office that they were looking for a commissioner because the commissioner that was being considered had run into some difficulties. And it didn't look like he was going to be confirmed, and they wanted to make an appointment before the end of the session in June. So Jim said, "Hey man, you want to try this?" I said, "Jim, you're my friend. I don't know anything about it. If you want me to do it, I'll do it." 15 days later, I was being sworn in as police commissioner, not knowing exactly what I had done, but having enough experience and knowledge that at age 35, the youngest police commissioner ever appointed, that I thought I was ready for the task. But did I ever sell myself short? I didn't realize all of the great twists and angles and fights that were going to happen. As I reflect back on it, I laugh a lot, but also I'm pretty proud of the kinds of things that we together, not me individually, but we together, were able to accomplish. When I walked in the door the first day in police headquarters, I knew that I was in trouble. Bob Baer, the head of many organizations, including United Van Line at the time, a very astute politician and organizational person. John Frank, who was a noted attorney, very astute and very sharp. Jim Mosbacher, who was a kind of a grassroots politician. And here I am walking in green behind the ears with no allies at all. It was people like Bill Bradley who welcomed me. It was people like Brown, William Brown. One of the real interesting things when I took that position was I always heard, well, who is that? Is that white Brown or black Brown? What are you all talking about? But many of you know about that legacy, that there were two lieutenant colonels, both named William H. Brown. One was white and one was black. Black Brown was a heck of a man and provided a great amount of legacy and insight for me. I had a lot of battles. I lost a couple, but I won a lot. I always was considered the loser when I walked in the door, and I always smiled when I walked out when I won. I proved to them that 35 years old and being a young African American with no police experience, that I learned pretty quickly, and I was up to the task. I can tell you that many a night at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, I would wake up, get in the car, and show up at a district. It shocked everybody, but we would ride because I felt that if I was responsible for 1,400 people's lives, I should know what they're doing. One of the other things that I was able to do, some of you all get some nice little pension checks from St. Louis Police Department. You remember when there was a police scandal about the pension fund, where somebody was stealing a lot of money. Because I was in the finance business at A.G. Edwards, and even I was the treasurer of the board, I recused myself as being the actual member of the pension board because I thought it might represent some conflict of interest. So John Frank took that position. And I can remember when John came to a meeting with me, he would always come and share stuff with me because he didn't know what he was talking about. He brought a ledger of trades to the table, and I said, "John, they just stole $275,000. He said, "What?" Anybody remember the name Tony Dinelli? Well, we were able to put 7 people in prison as a result of uncovering some things that were not supposed to be happening in that pension fund, which makes that pension fund more safe for you now. One of the other responsibilities that every time I see a police officer walking down the street and they have soft shoes on, that was Bill Young. That's when we redid the gym, instituted physical fitness standards, put Barry in the academy, the first African American in that academy, and got more African Americans into the academy than it ever been before. The other smile that I always used to have, which is probably not as political as it used to be, was when promotions came around. And you know, that was always the tense time around the department. Everybody waiting to see what was going to happen. It was democratic in most positions, but people tried to insert their favor in the decision-making process. There were some promotions that I was very proud that were never made, and there were some promotions that I participated in that I was extremely proud of. In fact, I had them so scared at one time that if they promoted 2 white officers, we got 2 black officers. And probably the most important decision that was made during my tenure was the promotion of Robert Sheets. You guys remember Robert Sheets? He was my nemesis. If it was not for me, he never would have been chief of police. Just to show you how a young boy who knows nothing about the police department was able to fight a battle. We walked in the door, there were 5 votes. 2 for Hackett, 2 for Sheets, and guess who got put in the catbird seat? Me. My nomination was Cal Hall. I held him hostage for 48 hours until they did 2 things. They promoted Sheets, and we had the most number of top African Americans in the history of the police departments in a command position. A little negotiation, they laid it right in my hands. I see Clarence laughing back there because he knows exactly what happened. But that's probably the proudest thing that I ever did, was making sure that we had many, many more African Americans in decision-making positions. When you talk about legacy and names, I'm going to mention a few of them, and I know I probably will mention some that miss a few, and I apologize up front. But these are some of the names that I'm proud that I know, proud that I knew, who helped me through 4 years of interesting times at the police department as we changed the way policing was delivered from the old 9 districts to 3 districts, to the super stations, which were designed by an African American, and 50% of that work was done by African Americans. Got one here today that I'm very, very proud of. The gentleman who leads the police department right now, that's Dan Ison. And then I want to just throw a couple of other names out, some names that I think hopefully will put some smiles on your face. I know they do me, and they represent the legacy that we celebrate today. William Brown, Black Brown, a proud man. Eugene Reese. Roy Miller, who's here with us today. Chief Harmon, who's with us today. Atkins Warren, he was a major when I came in. I lived in the 7th District, and the captain of the 7th District when I came on board was a gentleman named Charles Allen. And his great brother Buster. about it because he was one of my other great projects that I'm very, very proud of. A little gentleman called Ron Henderson. You guys remember that introduction? Let me tell you a little story about Ron and his ascension to the throne. Ron was a lieutenant in the 7th District when I came on the Board of Police Commissioners. I could tell by the sparkle in his eye that he was a very, very bright guy. But he didn't have a lot of credentials behind him. But he had a good heart and was a very bright man. When I was trying to shake things up and take advantages of opportunities, the gentleman who had run the ID section, the fingerprint section, retired after 40 years. And so names started getting kind of bantered around. And I was able to put Ron Henderson in that position. And it was right when they were going from the old fingerprints on the card where, you see on TV, all that stuff, to the APHIS system, which was the automatic fingerprint system through the computers. And I was able to put Ron in a position that he shined above everyone's expectation in implementing a very sophisticated system that helped law enforcement not only in St. Louis but in the region. So when he ascended to the position of Chief of Police, I could not be more proud, because he was a man of integrity, a man of hard work, and somebody who deserved to be where he is. Everett Page. Everett Page was the captain in the 7th District. And old Page and I got to be pretty good friends. And what a gentleman. As he leads the choir over at Cold Bread. I understand that he puts on a pretty good show every once in a while. The next guy is really kind of funny because he always caught a lot of flack. And everybody called him my cousin. That was Kerwin Young. So everybody always tried to put him down. Greg Hawkins, the Hawk. What a police officer. These gentlemen and many, many more helped me be successful in serving the city of St. Louis in the position as Commissioner of Police for the city of St. Louis. They served as my legacy to be able to provide a legacy for all of the gentlemen that have followed me, gentlemen and ladies who have followed me in the position. And there's a good thing about creating a legacy, is that you can only make it if you do a good job. And you can only enjoy it after your time is done. And then you can sit back, and you can smile, and you can see the fruits of your good work from afar. And that's what's happening to me today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Colonel. Colonel Young gave us a nice history lesson, didn't he? And a bevy of names. Boy, he really took us back to some good old guys, didn't he? A lot of them are still active. Another hand, please, for our speaker, Colonel William Young. I didn't even realize that he was that young that time ago. He's still young. All right, still young. Thank you so much again. And it's nice to revere these people's names, isn't it? It's very nice to revere those people's names. At this time, a special presentation from our first African American police chief. His name is? That's right. Say it again. Special presentation. And following his special presentation and an announcement of a project to come, we're going to ask Colonel Richard Gray to come with special greetings and words of encouragement present police board commissioner, and president and CEO of the Gateway Classic Foundation. And I was going to ask him to represent the board, but you can only represent yourself. I know you can't represent that whole board, but you're doing a good job of keeping things real and where they should be. You know how to get the votes. All right. Clarence Harmon and then Richard Gray.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Boy, there was a lot of history. I used to try to give Ida money too, down there, but she wouldn't take mine. What up, Tom? Just be here briefly. I got to correct one thing though. That Roy Miller was the first African American in the police academy. When I went to the police academy, you could cut your fingers on the creases in Roy Miller's trousers. Shades didn't shine his brass. I didn't know whether I was supposed to salute him or pray in front of him. Thank you, Roy, for all you did for us. Two brief things here. The first is, when I was a new police chief, and later as mayor, I would go around the churches on Sunday mornings, and I had my little stuff on a little card. Cops carried the 3x5 card. Everybody in it knows what that is. Until I decided to have a Bible that I would take and read something from the scripture at church. I no longer get invited to churches. I'm not sure what that's about. However, at one of the churches I went to, I was given a Bible. Minister said, you bring that old beat up thing that you've been bringing around. God's word, but it was beat up. So he gave me a Bible, but I treasured it such that I don't recall ever using it. When going through some things recently, I found the Bible again. And I wanted to present it to somebody because it needs to be in circulation. Bibles are meant to be used. And I've known Reverend Ronald Fraction for, as it turns out, it's about 32 years. I was a lieutenant assigned to the Housing Authority. Ron was over there as one of the officers. There had been working. He's gone on to do more police-related stuff. And the rest is here before you. But I had intended to give this Bible in furtherance of our legacy to Reverend Fraction at his church. And I got an eye infection and couldn't make that. So here it is. Carrying on the word. A wonderful service to one of our God's missionaries. Donnell that I've been talking, he's sort of commissioned me, kicks and shoved me into agreeing to try to collect data on all of us in furtherance of a book about the history of African Americans in the St. Louis Police Department. Now, there have been several books written about African Americans, episodic stuff, about us in the police force. But I wanted something that is all of you all. No one of us is the history. All of us are. And I wanted, what I would want to do would be to have all of you tell me something. Because this room is replete. Our histories are resonant with all of the stuff that we've encountered over the years. Everybody's got heroic stuff, sad stuff, things that we've all done, anecdotal information that makes for a wonderful story, I think. So over the next year, year and a half, I will be asking a number of you. So look for me. I'll be trying to record stuff, listen to things, write down notes, try to get things from all of you all. But I'm going to leave you with my email address for those of you who want to send me stuff. give me a photograph, tell me a story about your time in the police department and what it meant to you and what it will mean to all of us in our legacy. So it's charman53 at sbcglobal.net. So if you want to let me know something, please get in touch with me, otherwise you'll be hearing from me. Thank you, God bless you. Have a wonderful holiday season.
Good afternoon, everyone. I know it's been a long day, and I won't be that long. I want to first off say how proud I am to be in this room. I think sometimes we don't realize the legacy and the connection that you have and the impact that you have. And I want you to know that because of what you've done, I'm here today. Because of what you have done before us and the proud legacy that you've left for us, I'm able to continue to carry on that legacy. And the commitment that I have to you in this room as the Chief Eisen is that I am committed to making sure that we continue to make a difference and impact this community in the right way. So we work really hard. We have our fun, we laugh, we joke, but we seriously understand that the torch has to be carried forward. And that's what we're here for. That's what I will continue to do when we look at what we're trying to accomplish here on the board itself. What I have found as I started digging into it more is how disconnected the board had become. They had really separated themselves from being able to have an impact and do the things and make the changes that they had made in the past. And I'm digging back in again. And I'm having fun with it. And I think as we continue to move forward, we'll continue to try to make those impact changes going forward.